Morning, Mr. K.
Yeah, good morning, Eric.
Today we talk about financial budget. So first thing is, do you know how to do a? No, I mean, okay. First question: have you ever tried to do a financial budget?
Financial budget for yeah, I have for let's say it's my daily life expenses. Uh, Also, I have tried to make budget for let's say uh going to going on holiday. Then maybe I need to plan how much money I can spend. Yep, yeah, I
Mm,
have tried.
yeah. So why you why you do that? Why you do a financial budget?
Mm, Yeah, for the daily life expenses, for that one, I think it is one of the way to see how much money you can save, you can accumulate, maybe over a few months or maybe over a year. Um, yeah, you can. For me, how I do the budget, I actually like uh, make it very simple. uh, Expenses, income, and then two side, and then I can get the difference of the figure. Yeah, which
Mm,
is how much I can save or how much or I suffer loss maybe. Yeah, sometimes
mm,
it's like that.
yeah. Mm. And so just now you say the purpose of financial budget is something like you want to calculate whether, for example, going on holiday, you want
Mm,
to find out maybe you got enough money for the trip,
mm,
and maybe the trip is worth the expense of not something like that.
mm,
But it's just about one side, right? The expenses.
mm. Yeah.
Mm. So what you actually trying to do, not only for holiday, maybe also including your daily life. Why you want to calculate income, expenses, and income minus expenses uh equal to saving or what?
Yeah, to me is saving. It can be
Mm,
positive or negative.
mm, yeah. So why you want to do that?
Mm, yeah, I think for a budget, it is like a planning. You plan it before you spend it. Also
Mm,
after you spend it, you can know where's your money go to. Uh,
mm.
yeah, yeah.
But
This is
why?
kind of like
But why
manage your
do?
money.
But why do we? But why do we need to manage the money? Why do we need to manage our finance? For example, why do
Mm,
we need to manage our finance? For example, do you need to manage your your sleep? Do you need to plan for your sleep? Do you need to plan for um for activities, for example, eating,
mm,
diet, and also like for example brushing your teeth? Do you need
mm,
to plan for when to go to work, something like that? Do you need to manage the time, uh your working time? Yeah,
mm,
this one some people will
yeah.
need to do this.
Mm,
But look at the things around us. Look at the activity we perform every day.
mm, yeah.
Some of the thing we don't need to manage. Some of the thing we don't need to plan. We just do it automatically.
Mm.
Hmm. So why financial budget is something like a thing we need to plan. We need to manage.
Um, yeah, I think maybe for this one it is more complicated compared to uh, the activities that you mentioned just now, like sleep. Yeah, sleep. Maybe you just need to know what time you before what time you need to get to bed. Work also, going to work. They are less complicated than the financial budget, which involve more things. Also can involve like not only the present, maybe the future, the longer term one or medium term, short term.
Your sleep will also affect you long term. Yeah, brushing. If you didn't brush teeth for a
Mm.
long time, it also will affect your long term gum health.
Yeah, but they are less complicated, right? You just need to know that you need to do that when. Yeah, that's it.
But wouldn't this also very easy for your finance? You know you just need to earn money.
Mm, yep, but how about spending? Because spending sometimes we couldn't manage so well. We couldn't maybe couldn't feel it, or maybe we rationalize, we buy things. Uh, Maybe we have uh, we don't have the figure in our mind. We don't know
Mm,
how much we spend, and sometimes we rationalize our spending, and that could cause like spend too much.
mm. That's okay. After you graduate, after you start to work,
Mm.
are you do the financial budget every month?
Yeah, to be honest, I have tried doing the budget, but I have never been determined
Mm,
to keep the budget.
yeah.
Yeah, I've
So
tried like for a month, and then
mm,
uh, yeah, I think I just feel two reasons for me not to do that. First is lazy.
mm,
Yeah, too lazy to see whether how much I can spend on this on that. Uh, the second is maybe I haven't find out uh, the real meaning or enough
mm.
meaning to support me to spend time doing a financial budget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just now you say financial budget is very important and we should do that. We should plan. We should manage. This is so complicated.
Mm,
But what's your behavior?
yep.
Hmm? You
Yeah.
got my point? Yeah.
Mm,
Mm,
yep.
yeah. People don't do financial budget. Many people don't do financial budget,
Mm,
but they live well. Mm, maybe they overspend. Maybe they can save some. They can save some money.
mm.
But to them, to many people, most of people, they don't need financial budget, right?
Mm, I I am not sure whether if
Mm,
they do that it will be better.
yeah. But if it will be better, why don't you do that?
Mm, yep.
How much will be better?
Yep. Yeah.
Mm.
Whether
And
the it is
and
significant, right?
yeah, before you do the financial budget, you think, okay, yeah, doing financial budget can let me know how much I spend, how much I earn, so how much I
Mm,
can save, something like that.
yep.
And okay, so I can plan, I can manage. But sometimes you just realize, oh, many of the expenses is just fixed. I cannot cut. It must be it must be increased. I
Mm,
must I must spend the expenses.
yep.
And my income is fixed. What can I change? Nothing can change. Mm,
Mm,
right? And before you start to do the financial budget, you will think, oh, this is helpful, this is very important. And after you perform the financial budget, you realize nothing can change significantly.
yep.
Mm,
Yeah. You can only see the figure, but if you want to like make a change, yeah, it is not that easy.
yeah, you need to cut your spending, really
Mm,
cut your spending.
yep.
Mm. So financial budgets to me is just a tool to let you understand your finance. And if this is a purpose, okay, to me it is. If it's a purpose, what's the most important thing? What's the most important figure you need to know? Is it your money saving, your annual saving? Is it something like that?
Mm, yeah, if you ask me, I think it is
Mm. But
for
why
financial
do
budget.
why you save money?
Um, yeah, we
Money
say
money just a piece of paper, right? It couldn't be eaten. It couldn't be consumed. It can only be converted to other thing to
mm,
buy something.
yeah,
Why you want to save something like this? Will you save a paper?
paper not.
Will you save money?
Yes.
Why?
um, yeah, just for the future spending, the future expenses.
Mm,
Uh, yeah, we need to save so that we feel maybe like uh less worried about the future spending.
mm,
Yep, or some emergencies. Yeah,
mm,
maybe you lose your job or you need some spending.
mm. But don't you think you work and then your expenses go up so much? Sometimes if you don't work, you stay at home
Mm.
and do some simple tasks, grow your own food,
Yep.
harvest your own water, and you just need so little money. You just need so little money to
Mm.
survive, and also maybe you can you don't need a job, and you can
Mm.
have your own food, you can have your own water, you can have your own electricity,
Yeah.
and you don't need a job, and your expenses uh plummet plummets dramatically.
Mm.
If you need if you have a job, you need a car, you need to pay the car installment, you need to repair your car, you need to maintain your car.
Mm.
For you, this is a part of expenses which is will be lower because because you are lucky and your body company is like repairing I mean is a car workshop. But for other people, they cannot get a cheaper car, they cannot get a cheaper price uh to repair to maintain their car.
Mm. Yep.
So in this part, in this aspect, you are lucky. Yeah. So car, yeah, and food. If you work, how do you eat outside?
Mm. Yep.
Mm, yeah. So all of these things is expensive. Yeah. How about internet? If you
Mm.
don't have a job, do you need the very high speed internet,
No.
or can you subscribe a lower grade internet um, uh, package? You
Mm.
can, right?
Yes.
So all of these increase your expenses.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah.
So why we save money? And just now you make a good point. We want to use the money we save for future spending. In short, we want to provide for our futures. We want to provide for ourselves in futures. This means we want to work when we have the resources, when we are still not so old, we can work and we have the ability. Maybe in future we don't have the ability anymore. And so we try to economize our time, our energy to earn something. It can be anything. It can be food. It can be anything. It can be
Mm.
paper. But we convert all our wealth into money first because we know in the foreseeable futures we can convert our money back to some other thing:
Mm.
food, water, electricity, car, house. Yeah. So, in short, why we say we want to provide for our futures. And So by following this logic, okay, by following this logic,
Mm.
then what you want to know is actually how much money do you need in order to provide yourself enough sufficiently. In another words, is you want to know how much money you need in order to retire safely. Mm.
Mm.
You get, yeah, do you get the logic?
Yeah, yeah, because saving
Mm.
is for future spending, and if we look uh, uh, from a longer term perspective, it relate to retirement. Yeah,
Mm.
and also like after you get older, uh, your spending maybe increase, but your income maybe not not increase so much or not stable.
Mm. Yeah, so yeah, and financial budgets, we have two parts, right? Income and expenses,
Mm.
or incomes and costing. And which part do you think is more important?
More important, I think, is um um yeah, I think is they are both important. Expenses, maybe expenses is more important.
Why?
Um yeah, because we have talked about this before, which is like expenses. If you can save your expenses, um if you can lower down expenses, then uh yeah, it is like even after you lose your income, you still can uh do that. But income is like uh um you want to increase, but when you get older, maybe you couldn't increase.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, right. So expenses is actually more important than income. And actually expenses, I mean, in personal finance, everything is just the function of expenses or the function of the cost. Yeah. What do I mean? It's actually, for example, if you don't spend any money, you have zero expenses. Do you need income? Do you need
Yeah,
income?
don't need.
Yeah, you don't need income. Why you want to exchange? Why you want to economize your time, your energy to get something, the paper? It cannot be eaten. It cannot be consumed. Mm.
Mm.
Even though a gold, how do you use a gold? Can you eat a gold? Can you grow the gold from 1 to 2, just like grow the food? You cannot.
Mm.
Yeah. And try to imagine you're in the desert. Which thing you need? Do you need gold? No need. Do you
No.
need money, paper money? No need. Do you need food? Maybe
Yes.
yes. Do you need water?
Yeah.
Yeah, very important.
Mm.
Mm. So yeah, in personal finance, everything is just the function of the costing of expenses. If you don't need to spend money, you don't need money.
Mm.
But most of people need to spend money. They have some costing. They have some expenses. So let's say your money expenses is just 1,000. What does it mean? If you can, if some people give you 1,000 every month, you don't need to do anything. Do you still need to economize your time, your energy? Do you still need to work?
Yeah. No need.
Mm, yeah, and yeah, and we assume there's no inflation, so
Mm.
you don't need. Of course, maybe you still want to work, but you don't need to work. You want to work because your desire. Maybe you want to buy more things. You want to upgrade your lifestyle. But you don't need to work in order to survive.
Mm.
Yeah, so let's say you can cut your expenses down from 1,000 to 500, and your income still 1,000. You have 500. You have 500 buffers. You have 500 buffer.
Mm.
Somebody maybe they say, oh, yeah, I also don't have money, so I can only give you lesser money. They give you only 500 now, and you still don't need to economize your time, your energy to work, because you can provide for yourself
Mm.
with the 500 income match the 500 expenses. Yeah. So try to imagine now the income is not somebody give you. It's actually the passive income. Maybe you earn from dividend, you earn from your investment, your average annual investment income returns. So it becomes very, very clear. Yeah. And
Mm.
also try to change the income from passive income to active income. You need to work so hard in order to earn enough substance, enough money to support your current expenses and provide your futures. And what if you can cut half? You can cut half of your expenses. That means you only need to earn half of the money
Mm. Yep.
to become like no better off and no worse off in long term. Assume there's no inflation. Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, cost is the most important thing. Mm. And I have wrote and I have wrote an article which describe all of these things in my blog. And yeah, so when expense is most important thing. So how do we actually calculate our expenses? How do we actually monitor our expenses?
Mm. Yeah, it's a question for me, right?
Mm,
Um, for this one, expenses. Yeah, I think there are some expenses which are so-called maybe the fixed expenses. You can expect the amount of money every month you have to pay. It's more easy to uh, do the budget, yeah, because you can know the figure easily.
mm-hmm,
Yep. Uh, for um, yeah, for this kind of budget, yeah, I think it's easier for you to do. Maybe like you want to do a budget for a year, then you can put the same amount of money, same figure for that.
mm,
And for some other budgets, for example, uh, food, yeah, these kind of things, I think uh, they are not fixed, but they are also not so volatile. You can also like give a fixed amount, and then you try to adjust your spending on food, yeah, according to your budget. Um, yeah, which is also like uh is also like can be done.
mm,
Yeah, and for some other things, for example, uh, like maybe your phone, your uh, your some of your home appliances, or some of your personal things. Yeah, more or less you can like assume a lifetime of that particular thing, how long you can use for it, how long you need to buy a new one. And then previously when I kind of like uh, estimate the lifetime first. For example, uh, my smartphones I can use for, let's say, 2 years. If my budget is like make it like 800, then I can divide it by 24, which is 24 months, 2 years. And yeah, if this is a monthly budget, I will assign for that at the spending, which is spending for maybe the future. I need to keep this money. Uh, yeah, this kind of method I use.
Yeah. And have you checked the template I attached to I sent you?
Okay, I try to open it right now.
And yeah, just now you are right. All of these things can be put into a figure, including like the home appliance, for example, your TV, your refrigerators, your smartphone, even your glasses. Yeah, what's the useful life of your glasses?
My glasses,
Maybe 2 years, maybe 3 years. So you amortize.
yeah,
If
yeah,
I don't
yes.
wear if I don't wear glasses, then no cost to me. Washing machine, furniture, aircons, or other things. And maybe you think, oh, okay, this is not something I will spend right now, right?
Mm,
I don't need to spend all these expenses. Mm. But when you look at, but you try to recall everything we say just now. The purpose of doing a financial budget is know that whether you have the ability to provide your futures. So in the foreseeable future, you may need to pay all these costs by yourself.
mm,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, and okay, Mr. K, I think, uh, are you actually using the? Oh yeah, I think uh,
Yeah, I'm on it already, which is the Google Docs, right?
okay. Can you download?
Oh, download it.
Yeah, because there's some function you cannot use on Google Sheets. You can only use in Excel.
Okay.
Mm. Okay, and let us continue.
Mm,
Yeah, so this is something you need to put in the numbers. Smartphone, computer, glasses, furniture, aircons, fans, lighting, even like renovation,
mm,
refrigerator, TV. Maybe some people want TV, washing machine,
yeah.
and all these things you need to plug in the number and then try to estimate the year of useful life. Because in future you probably will need to spend this money.
Mm,
And also, how about like marriage? How about maybe you have a maybe you may get some illness. Maybe I would say, for example, in a year, how many times you get an illness, and what is the average cost per each, and how many times you 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 may get the illness, maybe 3 times, maybe 4 times, and let's say 4 times, each time you spend 50.
mm,
That means a year you spend 200,
mm,
and then you can use this to quote unquote monthlize, or you analyze. You try to find out your annual expenses, and then
mm,
you can divide it by 12 to see whether your monthly expenses is within your budget, is within your income.
mm,
Yeah, and many people think that, okay, now if they if they did if they haven't started to do budget, they will find out, okay, now I have enough income because I have saving,
mm.
right? This is
Yeah,
logic.
yeah.
But sometimes they'll just find out, oh shit, I need to borrow money from my from my cousin, from my relative, from my parents. Mm. And why? Because why you didn't foresee that? Why you didn't project this into your financial budget, and then try to make a balance, try to spend less on your on your current life, and because you foresee that in the future you may get something, you may need to incur a huge cost. You didn't project this into your financial budget.
Yep.
So it actually deteriorates the ability of seeing futures if you don't do the financial budget. Yeah, so recall the main concept. The purpose of doing the financial budget is you want to know whether you can provide your futures. And if you don't do a detailed, comprehensive financial budget, you just don't have the full sight. You don't have the full picture of seeing the truth, whether you can provide yourself in futures. And everything can be estimated. Yeah, including just now what I say, medical and healthcare. And something that you think it cannot be estimated is something like the cost is infinity. You still can choose whether you want to spend the cost or not. For example, if you get a cancer,
Yep.
I can choose don't want to spend, don't want to cure my cancer. Yeah, this is something you can choose. And if you want to choose to cure it, then you need to find out, what's the probability, what's the realistic probability, and what's the cost, and try to calculate it and plug into your financial budget. And you need to prepare you need to prepare the saving for that. Or you can buy an insurance. Yeah, insurance can cover some of the costs you think you cannot pay if the amount is too big. So buy insurance, provide yourself some certainty. And car maintenance, all of these things can be calculated. And also some other thing, for example, marriage. How do you calculate? How do you put into your financial budget? Will you get married? How much cost you need? Yeah, so it could be a one-off expenses. Yeah, so that means you need to ensure you have the saving part already cover this part of expenses. Yeah. So what do I mean? You maybe initially you need to cut some of your costs. Let's say if you have a balanced budget, either you cut some of your costs and then finance the cost of marriage by using the portions of the saving from the cost cutting. And after you have fully financed it, okay, and then you can bring back your costs, and then you can maintain a balanced budget. Another matter is you need to increase your income. You need to work harder, and then so you use the additional income to finance the cost of marriage in futures. You definitely will spend, and then after you have fully financed it, you can choose to work less and maintain a balanced budget. Yeah. And I want to say, even you want to maintain a balanced budget, for many people, it is already very difficult. Yeah, and if you take into consideration of inflation, yeah, it's very difficult because when the calculation become more complex, you need to take into consideration of inflation every years, maybe 3%, 4%. Yeah, and how about your income? Can your income keep the pace, go up 3%, 4% every years? If you cannot, so you need to save enough income to provide your future expenses, something like that. Yeah, so financial budgets, you need to do it very comprehensive. And if in personal finance, everything is just a cost of It's just a function of the cost. So what does it mean? The cost is the most important thing. And what does it mean? You need to apply prudent concept on costing. This is one of the most valuable things we learn in accounting. Yeah, do you still remember the prudent concept?
Mm, yeah, I think I forgot already.
Yeah, prudent concept is something like you shouldn't understate your cost. You shouldn't overstate your income or underestimate or overestimate. So in this case, you need to try to ensure you didn't underestimate your costing. Of course, this is not something like one day you can finish. Yeah, you need to keep thinking about this. You need to keep thinking, oh, maybe in future I need to spend this, and to spend that, and I need to include into my financial budget. Yeah, nobody can complete the task using one day or 1 week. This is a lifelong process, and your preference can change. The cost can also change, so you need to update. You may have new expenses, you may have less expenses. You can deduct some items, you may add new items. Yeah, and yeah, so this is something like a lifelong process, and you don't need to do it every month. You can do it on an ad hoc basis. Once you have the template, you can plug in the number, you can do a calculation. Whenever you find out, okay, I have one new item which I have to add in, then you just open your template and put in. Yeah, add in the item and put it the estimated number. Yeah, so that is the budget. It's very easy, really easy.
Yeah.
Not difficult, and you don't need to do it every month. You don't need to do it every week. You just need to be conscious you need to do it.
Yeah, but how about like the real spending? Would you also like record it down to see whether you hit the budget?
Okay, to me, I don't do that, but I will update my budget. Okay, if my real spending really okay, think about prudent concept. What if your actual spending greater than your budget? What will you do?
Either adjust the budget or cut your spending.
Can you cut the spending?
Oh, you mean it's already happened, right? Yeah, just to.
Now I miss how about in the foreseeable future? And I mean, how do you budget the costing? For example, food. If you apply the prudent concept, you shouldn't spend over, right?
Yeah.
For example, I know that I will eat lunch. I will take lunch in at outside. I need to spend this lunch meal cost every day. So do you use 30 days or do you use 31 days? I will use 31 days. Yeah, of course you can use 30 days. Of course, because this is just a minor difference. And for easier calculation, I also will use 30 days. And let's say I use 30 days. And what's the cost? 5 ringgit, 6 ringgit, 7 ringgit. Average. Maybe average is 5 ringgit. But I put it I put it some buffers. Maybe I use 6 ringgit. So 6 ringgit times 30 days, 180 ringgit or dollar. And what if I know that sometimes I will eat outside for dinner, but sometimes, just sometimes. And is it often? No, not often. Less than half of a day in a month? Yes. How many days average? I'm not sure. Would it exist half of the day? Will it exist 15 days per month? No. Yeah. Most of the time, I'll keep it under 15 days per month. Then you use 15 days. Right? Prudent concept.
Yeah.
Is it so difficult? No, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think maybe for the first few time you for the first few months after you do maybe your first budget, you need to like refer back and then do some adjustment, right, at
Yeah.
the first few months. But after that, maybe you are you can estimate a better figure, which is like you can get a figure which is more close to your real spending.
Yeah, unless you upgrade your lifestyle. Yeah. So this is a budget. And to answer your question, normally I wouldn't spend more on the item I already know how much I will spend. But they will have some expenses that they say unknowns that
Omitted, right?
I didn't include in my list, include in my financial budget template. So I need to include it. I need to add in new items. For example,
Yeah.
taxation. Do you include taxation?
No.
Yeah, but taxation is a big part of expenses for some people.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about renovation? Maybe you just need to do 10 years, every 10 years, but this is a huge cost. You need to project it into your financial budget. And if you have enough ability, you can project the inflation. Yeah. So, so this is this is a financial budget. And okay, first, any questions regarding to the financial budgets?
Yeah, I think no.
Yeah. So go back to the purpose of the financial budget.
Yeah.
The definition is you want to know whether you can provide yourself in futures. So at the end, you really need to know how much money you need to retire. This is just a logic. This is a whole part. This is a logical part. And yeah, or maybe you think because okay, first thing is you see you want to provide your future self so that you do financial budget.
Yeah.
You not only manage, you not only plan for your current life, you also plan and try to manage your future life because you try to save enough money for your futures. But what if in future you can foresee this is something like 100%, you can foresee one day you may lose your job, you want to retire, you don't want to work anymore, you lose the ability to work. Maybe your health issue, some other issue, maybe you've been redundant, AI replace you, something like that. And this is something can be foreseen and is likely to happen. So that the logic is you need to take it into consideration, right?
Yeah.
You either save enough money to cope with it, right? So save enough money means that you either earn enough money or you cut your spending to a very, very low. And then at the same time, the saving from the cost able to provide for futures. Yeah. So at the end, you must come to a concept how much money you need to retire. And also another question asking the same thing. How many years you still need to work? Yeah. And yeah, and I believe you are in my template already. Okay, can you go to my template?
Yeah,
Yeah, and
I'm on it already.
yeah, and what page you are on? I mean,
The
what
living
sheet you are
expenses.
on? Yeah, the living expenses, right?
Mm.
Okay, and yeah, the living expenses is something we mentioned just now. Financial budget.
Yeah.
And you go to the retirement calculation.
Okay.
Okay, and do you see a button on the cell I1 to K3?
Yeah.
And you try to click the buttons, try what happens. Do the Excel prompts you error?
Wait a minute. It seems like nothing happened.
I know, nothing happened, right?
Mm-mm.
So no prompts you error, right?
No.
Okay, try to add some number. Let's say you try to add a number on G3. Let's say G3. For example, you put 1,000 or maybe 10,000, simply put number, and then you try to see the G1 number. G1, okay, the orange color
Initial
highlighted.
character.
Yeah, and then you try to click the button again to try to see whether the number changing. Yes, right.
Uh, no, for me here, no.
No,
Still the same, but on the only change is on H20.
H21.
No, it's H20.
Really? H20 or H21? See carefully.
This is 20 for me.
20, yeah. Okay. 10. Yeah. Okay, and can you try to close? Okay, you close the Excel file and reopen again, and
Okay.
then on top you will see a yellow color banner, and then this is something like enable content. You need to click the enable content. Something like activate the macro. You need to activate the macro and activate the contents. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I think I did it the first time I opened the downloaded file. Yeah.
Oh,
So right now I close and open. Uh yeah I don't have the panel to click.
okay.
Mm.
Can wait a minute. Okay, you try to type the you try to type 1,000 in G3.
Okay, G3 is the non-investment income, right?
Yeah, you try to
Okay.
type 1,000 and then you click the button, and then what is the number in G1?
G1 is 662,791.34. No change.
Yeah. So I think they must have some problem. So maybe is I think it's your Excel setting got some problem. So you cannot use the VBA, the code I put inside. Yeah, and maybe you need to try some way. If you want to use the template, maybe
Yeah.
you need to try to find out what's the
Re-download it.
reason. Yeah, and also maybe re-download it. Yeah. Okay, and on the retirement calculation sheet, this is the sheet for us to calculate how many years or how much money we need in order to retire. And this is also very simple. Plug in the number, and plug in all the number, and then try to calculate. And then, so I'm not going to go through all the function here, how to type, and because it's just trial and error. Yeah, a person has some skill to read. They can read English, and they have some time. They are willing to spend some time to try to do some calculation and do the simulation to try to type something and click the button and try to see how the number change. they can get some insight. But one thing, I'm not going to go through with this, but I just want to say the concept. Okay, if let's say the G1, you find out how much money you need in order to retire. Yeah. So that means you, if let's say you are planning to retire at the current age, that means, and also you don't, so that means you're working from age. And also non-investment income earned per month before retire, which is from G3 to G6. Yeah. These 1, 2, 3, 4, these 4 cells will be blank because you don't need to work already. You already retire. Yeah. If you are able to retire at a current age, but at the same time, you must have the money. You must have the money in G1, which is the opening or the initial capital. You must have the money in order to generate enough investment returns. The investment returns is a rate, is a percentage stated in G2. You plug in the number, so that means you have this number. Okay, for example, you have like maybe 1 million, and your investment returns is 5%. And then, so every year or every month, you can generate the investment returns to cover your expenses. And it's enough to cover until you die. And so on the G18, G18 is average life expectancy. This is also your estimate when you will die. And also, according to the prudent concept, you should underestimate the number, right?
Yes.
So prudent concept, always apply this in your life, not only in financial budget. Very important. And if you have some assets, and you can choose to sell your assets in future, at some point of futures, and you can put in the number in I column when you sell your house, something like that, and then you will gain some, and you will get some new cash, and then the new cash, that means you can put back in your capital, and then it can generate 5% every year. Until your close capital becomes zero because fully spent. You have fully spent your saving on your expenses. And you also can choose not to sell, because when you sell, you need to rent. You need to rent a house. You need to rent a room, and this is also an expenses. And because if you pay your house installment, it's a fixed expenses. But if you rent a house, the rental cost may adjust according to inflation rate. And after 30 years, it could be a big number. And so that's why if you want to retire, for example, you also can see, okay, I cannot retire at this current age. How about I want to retire at 30? Now let's say I'm 25, I want to retire on 30. And now let's say my average income is 3,500, and I have my own expenses. I have my own car installment, house installment, and all expenses. And then you plug in all the number, and then you click so that means I need 662 or 663,000 in order to in order to retire at 30. So this is a figure you got. And then that means if you increase your working age, let's say you increase to 40, that means you need less money to retire. Okay, in this template is around 367,000, 367,000.
Oh.
If you change 30 to 40.
Mm.
Yeah, and yeah, you can change to 60. Yeah, and you click the number. Oh, yeah, actually the number is negative. That means, yeah, the number is negative. That means even though I have a negative initial capital, even though I'm in debt, I still can able to retire. It's quite funny.
Okay.
Hey, wait a minute. No, I think it shouldn't be the case. Wait a minute, I see. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yes. That means even though right now you are in debt, you still can retire because you keep working. Every month you get 3,500, and then after you pay back your debt, yeah, after you pay back your debt and you start to accumulate your capital, and then until 60, you're not going to work. You are not going to work anymore, and at that time you have enough saving to cover your remaining life expenses. You can scroll down to see the breakdown. Yeah.
Do you mean that the initial capital G1 need to be 0 or negative so that it means it is enough for us to retire, right? For the age we put in. For example, if I put the working age 25 and then work until I put 50.
So that means you are decided to retire at 50, right?
Yeah, but if the initial capital is still a positive number.
Initial capital is your current requirement capital, your current requirement saving in order to get you in the game, in order to keep on the track. You get what I mean?
Oh yeah. So it can be said like make it simple. It can be like our current saving, right?
Yeah, you are right. It's our current saving. So that means if I put 60, which is the working until age, I work until 60. That means even though now I am in debt, I still can retire because I work enough long. And then when I work enough long, that means the years, the time for me is lesser to die because I retire on 61 and then I die in hundreds. So that means I need to save enough money to cover only 40 years expenses. But what if I retire at 30? I need to finance 70 years expenses before I die. Yeah. So it's kind of like it's both of the way make the number lower and lower. So yeah, but do you want to retire at 60? No, right? You want to retire before 60, right? You want to retire as early as possible. So people say, yeah, you can retire at 60. And government plan for us, yeah, our retirement age 60, 65, 75. We can see this actually got some problem. Yeah, and people really so broke to the point that their initial capital is so little, or their saving is so little, their expenses is so high, their income is so less. So that means they cannot save enough income to let the compound interest run. And also maybe they don't do investments, so they won't have any investment income. And then they retire at 60, they retire at 70, but they still cannot provide for their futures before they die. It's so pity, you know. Yeah. And so this is one way. Another way to see it is kind of like you try to see how many years you need to work. For example, you try to put some number. Let's say your G1, your current G1 is, let's say like you have now, let's say you have like, let's say 10K saving. Okay, 10K saving. And okay, and then you try to change the number maybe in G5, you change maybe 30, okay, and then the G1 will change to like 62, and then let's say you change to 50, the G1 still 145K, you click a button, and then you change to my, let's say 55, and then you click the button again, okay, the G1 become 56, and then you change again, change the G5, 57, you change, and you keep trial and error. And then until one point you find out, okay, if I use like the 58 working age until 58, and the initial capital I need is just 8,000. So my saving is around 10K, right? So that means in this case I need to work until 58 for my because my current saving is only 8,800. Sorry, my current saving is only 10,000.
So you mean we adjust the working age until the initial capital is the
match.
rough amount of our current saving, right?
Yeah, so we roughly know that how many years we still need to work. So got two ways to try. Maybe either you try how much capital you need in order to retire. Either you try, if you keep your current track, you didn't change anything, you didn't change your income, you didn't change your expenses, and then the inflation rate will accordingly to grow. In this case, you look at the G16 living expense inflation rate per annum, 3% or 4%, and then also your G6 salary expected to grow rate. Yeah, and then you can plug in the number and you try to see how many years you still need to work until you can retire. Yeah, and after you start to, the first thing is you need to plug in the number in the living expenses sheet, right?
Yeah.
In order to get a full picture, and then you can plug in the number maybe from G8, to G16. Yeah, you need to do some research, and then you plug in all the number, and so this is your expenses, and then your income is very easy to see. So this is how we can use this template for us to manage, for us to plan for our futures. In other words, doing the financial budget. And many people after they do this, they will feel so frustrating, because they see, oh shit, no matter what I try, even though I can increase maybe my salary from 3,500 to 4,000 to 4,500, or maybe my salary expected growth rate I increase 1% more. You cannot increase too much, because the exponential rate is not going to sustain, right?
Yep. After maybe a few years, the increment will be a lot.
Yeah, and you need to apply the prudent concept.
Yeah.
And inflation rate will keep going up. Yeah. Maybe also until some time it will fix. Yeah, it will slow down. That prudent concept. You need to project it first.
Yes.
Or even you put a lower inflation rate, maybe 3% change to 2%. You still need quite a lot of years in order to retire, or quite a lot of capital in order to retire. Yeah. But at this case, if you try to do a trial and error, you can find that for maybe around 3,000 expenses, I forget the number, maybe 2,500 or to 3,000 living expenses, which is the variable expenses. And then 1% inflation rate equal to around 100K or even more. Yeah. The more expensive you have, the inflation affect you more, impact you more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I did some calculation. I did some simulation in the past. Sometimes 1% inflation can cost you need to have like more than 150K in order to retire, which means the initial capital you need additional 150K. If the expected inflation rate increase just 1%, or either you need to increase your investment return by 1% or even 2% in order to keep pace. In the case, normally when inflation rate rise 1%, your investment return need to rise 2% in order to cover it. Yeah. So there's a mismatch here. And inflation rate go up 1% is very easy, but your investment return want to go up 2% is very difficult. And also considering you already retired, you are preparing for retire, the money put aside for you to spend and to earn this investment return 5% per year, it cannot be risky. If it's risky, you may lose all your capital. So all of these things you need to consider. You cannot put 10% on G2 because it's not realistic. Of course, maybe right now when you are pursuing the financial freedoms, when you are pursuing the early retirement, you can achieve 10%, you can achieve 20%. But how about after you retire? Can you still put all your money in the risky asset? Maybe you can put some, but you cannot put all. If you lose all, that means you need to start over again. Or you cut half, that means it's a terrible thing. So the reality is cruel. But we can plan, we can manage, and only you start to do the calculation, you will find that, oh shit, the life is not that easy.
Yeah, it is like when you have a clearer look of the reality.
And you change. Some of things you are doing, you change, and you start to think, for example, why I put so much time in my current work, which is not scalable. Why don't I start something that able to scale, that able to earn some passive income? Maybe it's a business, okay? Maybe it is something. Maybe I learned the investment. So people think investment is not important because they haven't run the financial budgets. They haven't find my template. Once they put in the number, they'll see, oh shit, I have to do investment. You have to do investment. Either grow your initial capital, either have enough confidence realistically to generate enough investments, income, expected return rate after you retire. Or either you can choose to work until you die. And just like Warren Buffett said, the quote is, if you don't kind of like have passive income, if you don't do investment, or if you don't have passive income, you work until you die. It's true. If you don't have passive income, you work until you die. It's that simple and mathematically proven. Which is the purpose of these templates. Mathematically proven, and let you see the number realistically. You see the truth, you see the reality. And then so you know why you need to do something. The know why played a major important role at here. So you won't say, okay, I don't want to save money, or it's the expense is so difficult to cut, something like that. After you run the number and you really know what you want. Let's say you really want to retire earlier, you see the number, okay, I have to cut the expenses. Otherwise, I can't really retire earlier. Something like that. So everything just become easier. And is this financial budget thing easy to do? No, it's not easy. Require you to keep thinking, to put in new items, new expenses. You need to keep your conscious on that. But of course, you need to do it every month, every day, every week. But you need to keep it in your mind. And then maybe you need to occasionally to try to run some number in the retirement calculation, so you can see whether you really are on track. Sometimes you save actually below the track. Sometimes you save more than track. I mean, more than number you should have, because maybe investments income a lot in these few years. Maybe you got some bonus. Maybe you do really well in your budget, something like that. Keep tracking. So also this is not easy, but once you did that, your life will be easy. So if you do something difficult in the short term, your life will be easier in long term. If you try to pursue easy life, and then in short term, and you have a more difficult life to live.
This is not something that we can avoid. This is the real expenses we need, right, in the future.
Or maybe people can start to think whether they really want to retire earlier. Maybe the cost and benefit is not a favor to them. So they choose, never mind, I choose not
to die.
Work to die, or maybe work until 65, 75. Okay, so that's all for my sharing. How about
and just to let you know, I can use your template. Just I don't know how to use just now. I don't know. After I change the figure, I need to click the one that you mentioned to me. I click before I change the number, so just now I couldn't make it.
So now you got the template. Have fun to play it. Okay.
Okay. Thank you for you.
So talk to you tomorrow.
Talk to you tomorrow, Eric. Goodbye.
Goodbye.